Hey guys, Raymond here from the Beginner Photography Podcast. We are back for another daily edition of Photo Q&A, where we answer one of your photography questions every single day of the week, along with the help from my high school best friend, Paul, who's going to keep me on track and ask any clarifying questions if I get too technical or anything that the beginner photographer like yourself may not understand. Sometimes I just get into my head and get going pretty crazy. So if you have any questions that you want answered about photography or anything even related to photography, feel free to ask those questions. Submit your questions. You can do so on Instagram. Just comment on any of our photos. You can leave us a comment on Facebook. That's facebook.com/beginner photography podcast. Or just shoot us an email at beginnerphotographypodcast@gmail.com. And guys, if you like this episode and you get any sort of value out of it whatsoever, I would be forever grateful if you left us a review in iTunes or whatever podcast player you are listening to us on right now. That's it. Let's go ahead and get into today's question. Paul, we're back.
It's a big R.
We got a new question for today for a new photo question, and I'm excited to hear it. What do you got for me?
Okay, this one's from Charlie. What's one piece of advice you wish you knew when you were starting out?
Charlie. I'm going to let Paul answer this one. I'm going to take a bathroom break. I'm going to let Paul answer this one.
Okay. Well, one thing I wish
been a photographer.
Yeah, in my small business, wedding photography, that's a wonderful question. I don't really take a lot of advice.
You work your way out of this one.
Yeah, I don't take a lot of advice because I feel like I don't need it. I make 6 figs, so Charlie. But I guess it would be take pictures of what you love.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not bad advice by any stretch of the imagination, but it's definitely not the best piece of advice. Definitely taking pictures of things that you like or things that you love is incredibly important, because at the end of the day, if you don't love what you're doing, what are you doing it for?
Money.
Money. I guess. And some people do that. That's not bad either. As long as you have something on the side, like as a passion project that can keep you going, then do whatever the hell you want to. But for me personally, I'm always trying to learn something new. Always. All the time, which is why I started this podcast. So as my way of not showing off my knowledge to beginners, if that makes sense. Like, the whole point of this is not to be like, I know more than you, and this is why I'm talking to you about this sort of stuff. The reason why I started the podcast was because I wanted to learn from other photographers, good or bad. I'm really good at listening to all of the information and deciding what is useful for me and what is not useful for me, which is why there's a lot of photographers out there who we'll talk all day about how you have to set up your business in one way. That is it. The end. Any other way is complete garbage. And I know that all of that is crap. But maybe they'll say one piece of really good information about how they set up their pricing structure, or just a way that they communicate with clients. And I will take that piece of information and say, yes, that is a great idea, and implement that into my business. So when it comes to just picking out one piece of advice that I wish that I had known when I first started out, it would be, and this kind of depends on your goals, but I always knew that I wanted to run a business of photography, but it would be that photography and running a photography business is so little about photography itself. It is so little about how good of a photographer you are. And it is so much more about how you sell yourself, how you market yourself, how you display your personality. Because you're not selling your photography to people. You're selling yourself to people who need photography. And that would be the one piece of advice that I wish that I had known when I first started out. Because when I did first start out, as you can imagine, and I'm sure that, Charlie, maybe you're doing the same thing, and there's so many other people out there, but I bought every Creative Live course that I could, every, posing guide that I could find, everything online. I watched every posing tutorial, photography tutorial, editing tutorial on YouTube that I could find. But at the end of the day, none of those things were getting me clients. None of those things really even mattered at all. If you are a likable person and you genuinely care about your client and their desires and what it is that they're looking for, how am I trying to say this? Your photography it doesn't have to be world class, because you're delivering the best experience possible for the product that they want.
That's why people go to Sears.
Sears,
because it's not world class, but it's the family photo of all the kids. You know what I mean? It's the experience of taking the family photo. You don't go to Sears because you want knockout photos. You go to Sears because you're going to take it.
You go to Sears because that's just the cheapest place where you can get photos done.
Because you want photos of your family to record a certain time frame with your kids or whatever.
Okay,
or with your pets.
Sure. So then let me ask you this, because I think that you're answering a different question right here. So if you could just go to Sears and get your photos done, and I'm not saying that there's anything bad with that.
No, I don't.
But how come you and your family go to professional photographers to get your photos done?
Because Sears doesn't want to leave the Sears.
So it's purely just about the change of scenery.
The location, yeah.
Okay, interesting. It's interesting to think of. But I think typically the people who just go to Sears, and typically when you go to Sears, it's just like a one-off thing, right? People rarely go to Sears every single year. Like, yay, we're going for our birthday. Yay, we're going. Maybe they will for Christmas cards, but
who hires a photographer for a birthday, and then you have 4 birthdays in a year? Would you, if you were not a photographer, hire a photographer? One. Would you hire 4 birthdays in your family? Would you hire a photographer 4 times a year for each birthday?
No, I wouldn't, because...
So then nobody's going to Sears 4 times a year. Well, you wouldn't go to Sears 4 times a year for a picture.
You're right. Yeah, I would not go to Sears 4 times a year for photos. But this is a different mindset, because I never think about those things, because I can take the photo. But what I'm still trying to say here is that the people who are looking for professional work, who are looking for like world-class photos, who are looking for the best photo possible, if you had to pick between 2 photographers whose photos would be identical, who are they going to pick as a photographer? The person who just comes in very clean cut. Okay, here we go, guys. I'm going to take your photo, turn this way, and here we go. Click, click. All right, guys, I'm done. I'm out. And then they leave. Or the person who comes in and tries to relate to you, tries to figure out why you want these photos, and really tries to get who you are in the photo.
The clean cut guy, because I'm not paying to be my friend.
Oh, give me a break. Okay.
Paying him to take pictures, Raymond.
Give me a break here. Okay, well, point is that people who are willing to pay the premium to not go to Sears, the people who are willing to pay the premium to afford somebody who takes their craft seriously, I'm not saying that they're looking for a friend.
Okay, wait. Back up. You're saying Sears does not take their craft seriously?
They do not. And I'm not saying that the photographers don't. I'm not saying that the photographers don't take their job seriously.
Sears, the head honchos at Sears, photography is not, the bread one.
That is exactly what I'm saying.
Okay,
when
well,
Sears looks at their portrait studios, they're looking at getting the highest yield of customers possible, not the highest caliber of work. Now, I'm not saying that the photographers are not the best, because a lot of times they pick photographers who maybe eventually do want to open up their own studio, and right now they're not ready to go full time, and this is how they're dipping their toes into the industry, and that's fine. But Sears as the corporation is going to limit people. We're getting so far off topic here right now, man. My point is that people want to invest in you. people want to work with people who are very passionate about what they do. And therefore, if you deliver a product that they will be happy with, if there are two photographers who are going to deliver the exact same product for the exact same price, what the common denominator, or what the
deciding factor
is going to be, or what the deciding factor would be, is simply who has the best personality, who is the most relatable.
That makes sense. I'm on board with that.
So therefore, you're not selling your photography to people. You're selling yourself to people who need photography.
And that's your advice, or the one thing that you wish you knew.
That is the one thing that
you're selling yourself, not your photography. Solid.
Thanks, man. Charlie, I really appreciate the question. Hope that helps. Guys, I hope that you liked today's question. I hope that it brought you value and some sort of actionable tip that you're going to be able to implement and put into your photography journey to advance you to wherever you want to be, whether it's just a hobbyist or if you really want to take your photography professional and open up some sort of studio or business to do so. I hope that you got at least one piece of information out of today's episode. And again, if you did, please give us a review in iTunes. That's all that I ask for. I ask for nothing out of you, out of this podcast. These podcasts take a lot of time to create, and I'm so happy to do so if you are going to take these tips and implement them to grow yourself, to grow your photography. So the only thing that I ask of you is if you could just please leave us a rating and review in iTunes or whatever podcast player or app you are listening to us on right now. Again, guys, if you have any photography questions or about anything photography related, feel free to send us an email at beginnerphotographypodcast@gmail.com. Reach out to us on Facebook, facebook.com/beginner photography podcast, or find us on Instagram, where you'll be able to keep up with us and all of our guests that we have on the podcast as well. And that is Instagram username Beginner Photo Podcast. That's all that I got for today. I hope that you guys get out there, shoot something fun, enjoy. I love you guys, and I will talk to you all tomorrow. Later.